A cry no one heard. The wind was cold that evening. Dust blew across the streets of the human colony on planet Virex 9. The buildings were metal and gray, and the sky above was always dark. People moved fast, heads down, faces tired. No one looked around. No one stopped. In the corner near a food stall, an alien woman sat on the ground. Her skin was pale blue and her long black hair was tangled and dusty. In her thin arms she held a small child, no older than 2. The child coughed weakly and cried, but the sound was soft, tired and fading. "Please," the mother whispered, voice shaking. "Please help us." People passed by. Some looked at her with disgust. Some ignored her completely. One woman said, "Filthy alien." A man laughed and said, "Go back to your kind." But no one gave food. No one gave water. No one even slowed down. The alien mother hugged her child tighter. The baby was cold, lips turning purple. Her own body shook, but she pulled her child close, trying to share whatever little warmth she had left. She looked up, eyes full of tears. Her voice was dry now. "Help my baby. Please." From across the street, someone was watching. A human man stood beside a broken wall, hands in his coat pockets. His clothes were old and his boots had holes. He didn't look like someone rich or powerful, but his eyes stayed on the woman and her child. He saw the way she tried to sing softly to her baby. He saw how the baby cried weakly, like he had no more strength. The man looked around. No one cared. Everyone just walked on. He took a deep breath and started walking toward her. The alien woman saw him coming. She flinched, her body tensed. She pulled her baby closer, like she thought he might kick her or shout. But the man didn't shout. He didn't look angry. He knelt down slowly in front of her. Then he took off his coat and gently placed it over the baby. The woman's eyes widened. She didn't speak. "You need this more than me," the man said, voice calm. "Your child is freezing." She looked at him, confused, afraid, and surprised. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of flatbread. "Here," he said. "It's not much, but you can have it." The baby cried again, this time louder. He smelled the food. The woman hesitated, then slowly took the bread. She broke a piece and placed it gently in her baby's mouth. The child chewed weakly, then reached out for more. Tears ran down the woman's cheeks. "I don't have money," the man said. "But I can help you find a warm place to rest." The woman looked around. People were watching now, whispering. Some pointed. One man shook his head and muttered, "Stupid human, helping trash." She looked back at the man. "Why?" she asked. Her voice was thin and broken. "Why help me?" The man shrugged. "Because I heard your cry, and I couldn't walk away." She didn't speak again. Her hands clutched the coat tightly around her baby. Her child had stopped crying. His eyes were still half closed, but he was breathing better now. The man stood up and offered his hand. "There's an old repair shop down the road. It's abandoned, but I sleep there sometimes. No one will bother us." She looked at his hand for a long time. Then, slowly, carefully, she reached out and placed her trembling fingers in his. He pulled her up gently. Together they walked through the dirty streets. The alien mother held her child close, and the man walked beside her, quiet but firm. That night, as more people walked by without looking, a woman and her baby were not alone anymore, and for the first time in days, someone had heard her cry. The cold wind blew stronger as they walked. The alien mother held her baby close under the human's coat. Her hands were shaking, her legs felt weak, but she followed the man because for the first time someone wasn't pushing her away. He didn't ask her name. She didn't ask his. The streets were empty now. Shops had closed. Lights blinked in broken windows. The sky above was a dull gray, like it hadn't seen the sun in years. Finally, the man stopped in front of a small broken building. The sign had fallen off. The door was crooked. A piece of metal covered part of the entrance. "This is it," the man said. "Not much, but it's dry and it's quiet." The woman looked around. She didn't trust humans. Many had laughed at her, cursed her, even thrown stones once. But this man was different. He never raised his voice. Never stared at her like she was dirt. He moved the metal sheet and pushed the door open. Inside it was dark. Dust covered the floor. There were tools lying around and an old blanket in the corner. "You can rest here," he said. "I'll make a small fire." She stepped inside carefully. Her child whimpered, then coughed again. The man pulled some wood from a broken table. He stacked it in a small metal drum and used a lighter. The fire sparked slowly, then grew. A warm glow spread in the room. She sat on the floor near the fire and rocked her baby gently. "You should feed him more," the man said. "I have no food," she replied, voice quiet. The man reached into his backpack and handed her a small pouch. Inside were a few protein bars and dried fruit. "It's all I have," he said. "But it's yours now." The woman stared at him. "Why?" she asked again. "Why are you helping?" He looked at the fire. "A long time ago I had a little sister," he said softly. "She got sick. We didn't have medicine or food. People walked past her every day. No one helped. She died." The room went silent. He looked up at the woman. "When I saw your child, I remembered her face. I couldn't ignore it." The mother said nothing. Her hands trembled as she opened the food. She broke a piece and placed it into her baby's mouth. The child sucked on it hungrily, eyes still weak but hopeful. "You can sleep here tonight," the man said. "I'll keep watch." The woman nodded slowly. "My name is Zari," she whispered. He smiled gently. "I'm Cole." She looked down at her baby. "His name is Lior." "Lior," Cole repeated. "Strong name." For the first time, Zari gave a tiny smile. She wrapped the coat tighter around Lior and leaned against the wall. The fire crackled. Warmth touched her face. Lior's chest moved slowly but steadily. He was breathing better. Cole sat on the floor near the door, back straight, eyes watching the outside. "Are you a soldier?" she asked after some time. "Used to be," Cole answered. "Now I just fix machines got and sleep in old buildings." "Why are you alone?" she asked. He shrugged. "Sometimes people break things they can't fix." Zari understood those words too well. She held Lior closer. Suddenly there was a knock, 3 quick taps on the broken door. Cole stood fast and signaled her to stay quiet. He moved to the side and peeked outside. 2 men stood there, drunk, laughing. One of them kicked the door. "I saw someone come in here," one of them said. "Probably that crazy loner again." "Maybe he's hiding something," the other laughed. "Let's take a look." Cole stepped outside and pulled the door closed behind him. Zari held her breath. She couldn't hear their words, but she could hear angry voices. Then, silence. A moment later, the door opened again. Cole came back in, face calm. "They're gone," he said. "I told them I was alone and fixing old wires." Zari stared at him. "You lied. For us?" He nodded once. "You need rest more than truth right now." She said nothing, just looked at him for a long time. This man had no reason to help her, no reward, no gain, but he did it anyway. Zari lay down with Lior beside her. Cole added more wood to the fire. Outside, the wind screamed, but inside, there was warmth. For now, they had a small peace, and for the first time in a long while, Zari allowed herself to hope. The fire burned low. Zari's body trembled as she held her baby close. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking, even though the room was warmer now. Lior had fallen asleep in her arms, his breathing shallow but steady. She pulled Cole's coat tighter, around him like wrapping him in safety. Cole sat across from her, leaning against the cold wall. His eyes were tired but alert. He hadn't slept all night. Every sound from outside, wind, footsteps, voices, made him reach for the small metal rod he kept hidden behind his leg. "You should sleep," Zari whispered. Cole shook his head. I'm used to staying up. She could tell he was lying. His face was pale, his shoulders stiff. But still, he watched over them like a silent guard. The shaking in her hands got worse. She tried to hide it, but Cole noticed. "You're cold," he said. "Come closer to the fire." "I'm fine," she replied, even though her teeth chattered. "No, you're not." He stood and grabbed the old blanket from the corner. Without asking, he wrapped it around her shoulders. Then he sat beside her, careful not to touch too much or too fast. "Your body's in shock," he said. "You've been starving, afraid. Your system is breaking down." She looked down. "I haven't eaten in 3 days. Only gave what little I had to Lior." Cole reached into his pocket again and pulled out a small energy capsule. "Eat this. It's military grade. Not tasty, but it'll help." She hesitated. "It's safe," he added. "I used to take one of these after missions. Kept me alive longer than I wanted." Zari took the capsule. Her hands trembled too much, so Cole gently helped her lift it to her lips. She swallowed. Her breathing slowed a little. The shaking didn't stop, but it didn't get worse. For a while, they sat in silence. "I never wanted to come to this colony," Zari said softly. "We were farmers, on our homeworld, simple, peaceful." "What happened?" Cole asked. "Raiders. Fires. My husband." Her voice cracked. "They took him. I came here to find work. But no one hires aliens like me. I begged. I washed floors. And when Lior got sick, no one cared." Cole stared into the fire. He'd heard this story too many times, from too many people the system ignored. But somehow, it still made his chest ache. "I don't want him to die," she whispered. "He's all I have." "He won't," Cole said firmly. "Not while I'm alive." She looked at him, surprised by the strength in his voice. "You're a stranger," she said. "You have no reason to help me." "You're not a stranger anymore." Zari blinked. Her lips trembled. Not from the cold, but from emotion she hadn't let out in days. Suddenly, Lior coughed. It was deep, painful, and wet. His tiny body shook, and his eyes opened, glassy and unfocused. "Lior!" Zari gasped, pulling him upright. Cole rushed to her side. He placed his hand on the child's forehead. "He's burning up," he said. "Fever's getting worse." Zari panicked. "What do I do?" "I don't know what to do." Cole grabbed a dirty cloth and poured a little water on it. He wiped the child's forehead and chest, trying to cool him down. "We need medicine," Cole said. "Real medicine." "But where?" Zari cried. "No clinic will take us. They hate us." "There's one place," Cole said. "It's risky, not legal, but they help anyone. For a price." "I have nothing," Zari said. "You don't need to pay," Cole replied. "I will." She looked at him horrified. "You'll go into debt? For us?" He didn't answer. Instead, he wrapped the child gently in the blanket. Then he stood up and put on a second torn coat from the corner. "Stay here. Keep the fire alive. I'll be back before dark." Zari stood too, weak and shaky. "Please, don't leave me. Alone." He paused. "I have to. If I don't go now, he won't make it through the night." She held Lior tighter, tears in her eyes. "Come back, please." "I will," he promised. "I swear it." And with that, Cole stepped out into the freezing wind and disappeared into the stormy streets of the colony. Zari dropped to her knees near the fire. Lior whimpered softly. Her hands still shook, but not from cold anymore. From fear, but for the first time, she prayed someone would keep their promise. Zari sat near the fire, holding her baby close. Lior's fever was high. His small chest rose and fell with effort. His eyelids fluttered. She whispered soft lullabies from her home world, words no one else understood. Her voice cracked, but she kept singing. Her child had to feel love, even if the world outside gave none. The metal door rattled in the wind. She kept looking toward it, waiting, hoping. Cole had been gone for hours now. What if something happened to him? What if he got caught? What if he didn't come back? She shook the fear away. No, he promised, and she believed him. But outside, something else was happening. Footsteps. Voices. Zari stiffened. Through the crack, in the door she saw a shadow, then another. Then, laughter. Yeah, this is where that crazy human's hiding, a voice said. He's got something in there. Another voice replied, heard it's an alien, a thief, a parasite. Zari's heart pounded. She clutched Lior and crawled toward the darkest corner. She blew out the fire. Smoke rose quietly. Please don't open the door. Please. But they did. The door burst open with a loud bang. Light from a flashlight stabbed the room. There she is. Two men in heavy jackets stormed in, their eyes were sharp and angry. One of them pointed. That's the alien scum. Zari stood up slowly. Please. My child is sick. One of the men grabbed her by the arm and yanked her forward. You don't belong here, Lior cried in pain. She screamed, Stop! Don't hurt him! They pushed her toward the door. Her foot caught a metal pipe and she fell, shielding Lior with her body. Suddenly, let her go! The shout was loud, furious. Cole stood in the doorway, face covered in sweat, chest heaving. He had run all the way back. The two men turned. What's this? You protecting her? One sneered. Cole stepped forward. He held a small med kit tightly in one hand. She's with me, he said, and the child is dying. You're breaking the rules, the other man barked. Harboring her is a crime. Cole's jaw tightened. Then punish me. But you will not lay a hand on them again. They laughed. Or what? You gonna fight? Us? Cole didn't move. He dropped the med kit on the ground and picked up the metal rod from beside the fire drum. Try me. There was a long silence. The men looked at him, then at each other, and finally, one spat on the ground. You're not worth it. You'll be begging for help next winter, human. They walked out, muttering curses as they slammed the door behind them. Cole dropped the rod. His hand was shaking. But he turned to Zari with soft eyes. Are you all right? She nodded, tears running down her cheeks. They kicked me, but Lior is okay. I protected him. Cole kneeled beside her and opened the med kit. I got antibiotics, fever patches, some nutrient fluid. Zari looked at him with wide eyes. How? I traded my tools, my last few credits, and a few old favors. She didn't know what to say. Her lips trembled. Why? He didn't answer right away. He carefully placed a small fever patch on Lior's chest, then gave Zari a tiny injector to press into the baby's arm. Because no one helped my family when they begged, he finally said. And I promised myself I'd never let it happen again. Zari's hand hovered over the injector. Will it hurt him? A little, Cole whispered. But it'll save him. She nodded, then pressed it in. Lior flinched, whimpered. Then slowly, his breathing began to steady. The warmth of the medicine spread through his tiny body. His skin cooled slightly. Zari held him tightly. He's breathing better. Cole smiled, tired but relieved. He'll sleep soon, deeply. Let him rest. He looked around the room. But we can't stay here anymore. Zari frowned. Because of those men? Cole nodded. They'll come back. With more. Where will we go? There's an old transport hangar near the edge of the colony, he said. Abandoned. Full of scrap. But it has shelter and a hidden space. Safer than here. Zari stood slowly. Lior still. In her arms. She stared at the man in front of her. This human who had stood between her and cruelty. Who had chosen her and her child over his own safety. I'll follow you, she said quietly. Wherever you lead. Cole gave a faint nod. Then let's go, before night falls again. And so, under a darkening sky, a poor alien mother and her sick child followed a strange brave human into the unknown, chased out by cruelty, but maybe walking towards something better. The sun had set long ago, but there was no darkness on Virex 9, only the pale blue glow of the mining towers and the red blink of warning lights. Cole moved quickly through the back alleys, Zari right behind him, carrying Lior in her arms. She was tired, more tired than she had ever been. Her legs felt like stone. Her eyes were dry from too many tears. But she didn't stop, because Lior had stopped crying. He had stopped moving. The baby's head lay limp on her shoulder. His eyes were closed and his lips were pale. His tiny chest barely moved. A soft breath escaped him now and then, but it was getting slower. "Cole," she whispered, her voice shaking. He's not breathing, right?" Cole looked back, worry deep in his eyes. "We're almost there. Just hold on." They reached a broken gate and slipped through the rusted opening. Ahead was a giant building, half collapsed, covered in vines and metal sheets. The abandoned hangar. Cole led her to a corner behind stacks of old machinery. A tarp covered the space like a small tent. Inside were blankets, water containers, and an old lantern. "I used to hide here," he said. "No one comes anymore." Zari gently laid Lior on the blankets. She touched his forehead. Still hot. Too hot. Then he stopped moving. Her breath caught. "Cole," she screamed. "He's not breathing." Cole rushed to her side. He checked Lior's pulse. Nothing. No rise in the chest. No sound. "No, no, no," Zari cried, panic bursting through her voice. "Please, he can't die. Not now." "Move," Cole said firmly. He placed 2 fingers over the child's chest and began pushing gently but quickly. Again and again. "Come on, kid. Breathe," Zari sobbed beside him. "Please, please save him. I have no one else." Cole kept going. "You don't die tonight, little one. Not while I'm here." He tilted Lior's head and gave a breath into the child's mouth, then pressed his chest again. 1 second. 2. Then suddenly, a small gasp. Lior's chest twitched. He coughed, weak, soft, but alive. Zari clutched her baby and cried harder than ever before. "He's breathing," she whispered. "He's breathing." Cole fell back exhausted. His hands were shaking, his forehead covered in sweat, but he smiled. "Tough little guy." Zari rocked her child back and forth. "Thank you. Thank you." Cole reached for the fever patch in the kit and pressed another one to Lior's neck. Then he handed Zari the last capsule of fluid. "This will keep him hydrated. Use it slow." She obeyed, feeding her baby drops of it at a time. Cole sat back against the metal wall, breathing heavily. "I thought we lost him," he said quietly. Zari looked at Cole like he was something more than human. "You brought him back." Cole shook his head. "You kept him going. Your love did more than anything I gave." She looked at Lior's tiny fingers wrapped around hers. "He's all I have in this galaxy." "Not anymore," Cole said without thinking. Zari blinked. "What?" Cole didn't repeat it. Instead, he reached over and gently fixed the blanket around Lior. "You should rest now. He's safe." Zari nodded slowly. She laid down beside her child, still holding his hand. Minutes passed. Cole didn't move. Zari's voice came softly through the quiet. "No one ever stayed this long. Not even my own kind." Cole didn't answer. He just stared at the flickering lantern light. "Why?" she asked again. "Why are you risking your life? For strangers?" He looked at her. "Because no one should die begging, and no child should fade away unseen." Zari's eyes filled with tears. "What if something happens to you?" He gave a small smile. "Then you run, and you raise that boy strong enough to change the world that hurt you." Zari looked at him for a long time. Then she whispered, "You're not just brave, you're good." Cole didn't reply. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes. And that night, inside an old forgotten hangar under a tarp and a flickering light, a baby lived. A mother found hope, and a human stayed, because he couldn't walk away. Cole woke before dawn. Trt. Hangar was silent except for the faint breathing of Zari and Lior. The child now slept quietly in his mother's arms, his fever lower, but not gone. His small fingers twitched now and then, as if trying to fight off the sickness still deep in his tiny body. Cole sat up slowly, his back aching from the cold floor. He looked at the empty medkit. Only scraps were left, no more fever patches, no fluids, no energy pills. Zari stirred. Her eyes opened, tired but alert. She clutched Lior like he might vanish. "He's still warm," she said softly. "But he's weak." Cole nodded. "He needs more than what I gave." She looked at him, her voice tight with worry. "You said no one helps aliens, then where do we go now?" Cole looked down. He didn't want to say it, but he already knew the answer. "There's one more place," he said, "but it's risky, very risky." Zari sat up straighter. "What is it?" "A black market medic," Cole replied. "They don't ask names, they treat anyone, but—" He hesitated. "But what?" "They need payment. Blood, credits, parts, even labor. Sometimes they take too much." Zari touched her son's forehead. "I have nothing left to give." "I do," Cole said quietly. Zari's eyes widened. "You'd trade your own blood?" He stood up and started gathering what little they had. "If it saves him, I'd trade everything." They wrapped Lior tightly in a scarf and carried him through the early morning shadows. Zari kept her face low, hood pulled up. Cole walked ahead, leading them through tunnels, alleys, and underground pipes until they reached a hidden bunker beneath the colony's east ridge. A small metal door opened with a hiss. A guard, cybernetic implants all over his face, stepped out and looked at them with suspicion. "No aliens," he said flatly. "I'm paying," Cole said, stepping forward. "My blood. For the child." The guard raised an eyebrow. "Your life for a dying alien brat? You're insane." Cole didn't move. "Do you want the blood or not?" After a long pause, the door opened fully. Inside, the air smelled of chemicals and oil. Machines buzzed. A tall woman with glowing eyes sat behind a table scanning a datapad. "Human," she said. "What do you bring?" Cole placed Lior gently on the metal table. "He has fever, infection, and weakness. He's dehydrated." The medic scanned the child, then looked at Zari. "He's not human." "He's mine," Zari said sharply. "And he matters." The medic gave a small nod. "Treatment will cost. We have no alien blood in storage." "Use mine," Cole said. "You're not compatible." "Then take what you need to power your machines. Take plasma, take marrow, I don't care." Zari gasped. "Cole, I made a promise," he said, looking at her. "Let me keep it." The medic smiled faintly. "Most men wouldn't do this, especially not for someone who isn't their own kind." "I'm not most men," Cole said. "Start the treatment." Cole lay on a chair, connected to tubes. Blood flowed from his arm into machines that whirred and hissed. His face went pale and sweat beaded on his forehead. Nearby, the medic worked on Lior, injecting medicine, hydrating his tiny body, placing a thin oxygen mask over his mouth. Zari stood frozen between both of them, torn in fear. Time passed slowly. Then at last, the medic stepped back. "The child will live," she said. "He's responding." Zari collapsed beside Lior, tears in her eyes. "Thank you. Thank you." The medic looked at Cole. "He gave a lot. He'll be weak for days, but he'll survive if he rests." Zari walked over to Cole. He was barely awake, his lips dry, eyes half open. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved him." Cole gave a tired smile. "Told you I would." She sat beside him and took his hand. "No one's ever done this for me," she said. "You gave your blood, your life, for my child." I didn't do it for you, he teased, closing his eyes. I did it for him. He's going to be someone great one day. I can feel it. Zari leaned down and kissed his hand. And I'll make sure he remembers the human who saved him. Later, the medic allowed them to stay for a few hours in the back room. Zari watched her son sleep, his color returning. She turned to look at Cole, sleeping nearby. He had nearly died for them. And, in doing so, he had given them something no one else had ever offered, a future. It had been 3 days since the treatment. Lior was stronger now. His fever was gone, and his eyes opened wide with life again. He giggled softly when Zari touched his nose. His tiny fingers grabbed her hand as if to say, I'm not leaving you. Cole, however, was still weak. He lay on a thin mattress in the corner of the hidden room, pale and slow to move. The blood he had given to save Lior had left his body, exhausted, but his eyes opened every now and then to check on them, always them. Zari sat beside him now, watching him sleep. She didn't speak, didn't cry, she simply stayed close. It felt strange. This human man who owed her nothing yet gave her everything. He stirred and opened his eyes. Zari smiled. You're awake. He gave a soft grin. Still here, huh? I'm not leaving, she said gently. You didn't. Cole struggled to sit up. Zari helped him slowly. Lior crawled over and sat in Cole's lap, resting his head on the human's chest. Cole looked down, surprised, and then smiled. He likes you, Zari said. I nearly died for him, Cole joked weakly. He better. They laughed. Quiet, soft laughter, the kind that comes only after pain. But outside that small room, things had changed. Word had spread. The human who gave his blood for an alien child. The woman who cried in the street but found help from a stranger. Some laughed. Some were angry. But some began to wonder. Late that evening, a knock came at the hidden door. Zari jumped. Cole sat up, alert. He still couldn't fight, not in this condition. The door opened slowly, and to their surprise, a woman stepped in. Human, middle-aged, wearing a utility coat and holding a basket of food. I heard about you, she said, looking at Zari. They say your child lived. Zari nodded slowly, unsure. The woman placed the basket down. Take it. I used to be a nurse. That's nutrient broth, safe for the baby. Zari blinked, stunned. Why are you helping? The woman shrugged. Because someone has to go first. That night, they ate. Warm food for the first time in weeks. Days passed. Cole slowly regained his strength. Lior began to walk. Wobbly steps, tiny feet tapping the dusty floor. He followed Cole everywhere, tugging his sleeve, sitting on his chest, even falling asleep on his lap. Zari watched them together, her heart full and heavy at the same time. One morning, as the sun sent gold through the cracks in the roof, she turned to Cole. What happens now? She asked. He looked up from fixing an old radio. What do you mean? You gave everything, for me, for my son, and now the world knows. They'll chase you, maybe punish you. Cole stood slowly and walked over to her. Then let them. Zari frowned. You'll lose your life. He looked at her carefully. I already got a life, right here. She stared into his eyes, then said something she hadn't said in years. You don't have to leave. Ever. Cole smiled. I don't want to. Later that day, Lior fell asleep on the blankets curled between them. Zari touched the baby's hair, then looked at Cole. Where I come from, she said. When someone saves a child's life, the mother owes him everything. You don't owe me anything, Cole replied. Zari shook her head. That's not what I mean. She took a breath. Her voice was gentle, honest. I'm not asking for charity, Cole. I'm asking for something real, a home, a future together. Cole stared at her. Then slowly, he nodded. You already are my family, he said. Zari leaned her head against his shoulder. For the first time in her life, she felt safe. Not because the world had changed, but because one person did. In a forgotten hangar on a cold and cruel planet, a human man, an alien woman, and a saved child built something no one expected. Not a rescue. Not a favor, but a family.